men over 55 right now, I think it's 90% of them do not have a friend, do not have anyone, like any close friends. And this is actually the biggest epidemic I see, because again, in longevity and happiness and fulfillment, if relationships are the top thing, and the way that they discovered this in the study, and I'll find it, hopefully we can put it on this, put it in the notes. But the study itself was actually over 20 years. They actually did research. They went to a hospital, and what they discovered is that men who were having heart attacks, right, or they were coming in with illnesses, if they would ask them, which is interesting, they would actually go through a questionnaire, and one of the questions is who is your best friend? And again, wives that are watching this, please don't get offended. I'm getting the shivers right now. Please don't be offended by this. But men who said their wife or their kids, they actually now have a study on it where those guys passed away 2 to 3 years after their situation, versus the men who said, well, I have my buddy John, I have my group of guys. They actually continued on for over a decade later on. And so again, I'm talking about longevity and health here and like that, but how crazy is that your relationships with other men will dictate how you handle even your health situations as you age into the future. I'm 38 right now. I think Ruslan, you're 34, 35. We're in our mid 30s. We have families. Yeah, we're busy as heck. We have multiple companies, and we're running around. We're trying to win. We're trying to build legacy. We're trying to just be a great example for our families. We're trying to be a supportive husband, right? We're trying to be a great leader, and we're trying to stay healthy, right? We're trying to keep our relationship with God. But at the end of the day, all of that comes back to, who do we get to go to when we need someone, right? Who do we get to go to when we're winning or losing? And so I think the segue here, in your case, Ruslan, like, do you know any guy, like, and again, you don't have to share their names or their, exact stories, but have you ran into a similar scenario as I have, where a lot of high achieving men are, you've probably seen this, but a lot of high achieving men have their thing and they don't have anywhere really to go? Like, have you seen that in your network as well?
Yeah. And I feel like I was blessed with, multiple people around that I can go to. But even then, it's one of those things. You don't want to be a burden. You don't know how to really approach it. You don't know if they're going to feel, like Matt said, right? A compliment might turn weird. You don't know how it's going to land. So a lot of times, but again, I feel like I was blessed with a lot of people around. But even then, I feel like it's still that same exact feeling, that loneliness, that confused, the feeling alone kind of part. And again, I never had it when things weren't going good, when things weren't going fast. Then you're not in your mind. So when I feel like it's going fast, when you sit back and you relax a little, you start realizing, man, majority of the day I did this. I talked to the kids, did this, but at the end of the day, what did I do that moved me along further out of whatever it's going on, right? I feel like there was a quote yesterday we were watching with Karina, and if women only understood what's going on between the 6 inches between our head, and it's not what they're thinking, it's a million things, and it's a constant thing that keeps getting added to the list, and it's like a file manager. You're trying to file it away, but it keeps coming back. So that's my kind of thing. I feel like I was blessed with people around. But even then, like Matt said, it's, if over 50, someone doesn't have someone that they can even go to, it is a big issue. And I know that's a constant thing that I feel. I mean, talking to Matt, talking to guys that I know, it's a thing that we feel, but it's a thing that's almost, for a guy, it's almost, you can't talk about it. You got to leave it alone. It's fine. Everyone's dealing with it. So yeah, I feel like it's in that range.
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, one, just to piggyback, I'm sure everybody on here has seen that meme where the wife and the husband are laying in bed, right? And the wife's like, I think he's like cheating on me, or I think he's doing this. And then in his head, he's got like 50 other things he's thinking about. Like, I got to make payroll this week. You know what? I need to be, I got to be a super dad, right? Oh my goodness, I gotta surprise my wife with flowers, or, he's got all these things going on in his head, right? And And she thinks that, he's thinking about something else, right? And it's funny when you said that you and Karina were talking about that. But I know Jackie and I, sometimes, like, I hate to say it, but I'm walking around and she'll say something and I don't hear it. Sorry, wives out there. It's because I have three things that are currently going on in my brain right now that I'm trying to solve for. And I'm literally, we're walking. And again, a lot of high achievers like yourself, Ruslan, that's what we get paid to do. Let's be transparent. We're entrepreneurs, but we're problem solvers. And men specifically, I don't care if you're an entrepreneur or not, we love solving problems. Like, that's our thing. And so guess what we're constantly doing in our life is we're looking at the problems and trying to solve them. And it would be great to have other men that we trust, right? That we actually want their perspective. A quote that I really like too from what you just said is basically what we're building, and what we really want is we want our group to be, when we bring this brotherhood together, we want our group to be where the standard in our group, right? The standards are where a lot of men are trying to get to. And that's what I'm looking for anytime now that I look for perspective. I want to see the fruit on the tree. And I want to know if that man that I'm taking advice from is actually successful in that category I'm taking advice from. And so, but to piggyback off what you just said, it's insane as men, right? Because we have a lot of pressure. And oftentimes as we grow up, we're just told to man up. We're told, hey, don't show emotion. You're weak if you do that. I don't know if anybody can relate to this, right? I was blessed, and we'll talk about this in another episode. My dad is a phenomenal father, and my mom is amazing. But, there were, I don't know if anybody can relate as an athlete, but, I got knocked out, in football. So we didn't do the whole concussion thing, which we should have. But, I got a couple of times got knocked off my feet, and my coach was like, hey, go sit on the sideline for 5 minutes, but get your ass back in here, right? And it's interesting because that's how, we grew up. And I think a lot of men watching this, it's like, hey, just suck it up, right? Hey, you're winning, but just keep winning. You got to support your family. Or, hey, you're losing. Don't tell anybody, because if you do, you're going to look like a weak man. And that's really the hardest part, I think, for us as winners, is that we don't have places to go. And that's really the hardest part. I coach a lot of my kids' sports teams. The tip to all the men out there: do not be the head coach, be the assistant coach. So you don't have to actually schedule everything. You just get to show up, and it's awesome. But when I coach, here's the challenge right now, right? I'm in my late 30s. A lot of the dads that my kids go to school with are in their 40s, late 30s, early 40s. And if I look around, I don't know obviously what they have going on outside, but we're all just having very surface level conversations, right? How's the weather? Here's the scary part. I don't even know what a lot of them do for work, right? And I don't know if anybody can relate to that. But how crazy is it that we don't share what we do for work, and maybe we can help each other, right? In our communities. Why is that? I don't know. I really don't. And that's the challenge that we're trying to solve for, is like, why is it so hard for us to make friends after a certain age? And I think that it's because we're taught as men not to be vulnerable, right? And I'm not going to walk up to a dad on my kid's sports team and be like, hey guys, just so everyone's aware, I lost 50 grand last night, and it sucked. No, that's not going to happen, right? And so I think what we're trying to look for and solve for is that specific thing, is an actual container of men that we respect, that we, actually want to get perspective from, right? We want to be supported by. And here's the truth: we want to have fun with.